You know that feeling. That moment when the air in the room just changes. Nobody moved. Nobody said anything. But something shifted and you felt it before you could even name it. And the person who thought they had everything figured out, the one who came in with a plan, with confidence, with that kind of certainty that makes people dangerous, they felt it too. They felt it first, and they have not been the same since. Because here's what I know about you. You didn't blow up. You didn't fall apart in front of them. You didn't give them the reaction they were counting on. You just kept going, quietly, steadily, like something in you already knew the outcome, even when everything around you looked uncertain. And that stillness, that deep, unshakable, almost unexplainable calm you carried, that is the thing that undid them completely. I need to say this before we go any further. This is not a message for everyone. I mean that this is specifically for the one who has been underestimated, the one someone looked at and decided was easy, the one who was supposed to crumble, supposed to react, supposed to prove every assumption, right? The one who didn't. If that is you, and I think you already know if it is, stay with me right now, because something happened. Something real, something that shifted the entire dynamic between you and the person who came against you, something they still cannot explain, no matter how many times they replay it. And the moment they felt it, not heard it, not saw it, felt it deep in their gut where truth lives before the mind catches up, everything changed. Everything. They thought they had you figured out. I mean, really figured out. Not just a guess, not just an assumption. They had built a whole theory about you, who you are, how you respond, what breaks you, what makes you flinch. They had been watching long enough, studying long enough, collecting little pieces of information about you long enough that they felt genuinely confident, and that confidence felt good to them. It felt like power, like control, like they already knew how this was going to end before it even started. They had done this before to other people, and it worked. They knew how pressure operates. They knew which words land hardest. They knew how to position themselves so that when they made their move, the other person would have no good options. They were not improvising. They had a plan, a real one, and they believed in it completely. But here is what they did not account for. There is something that lives inside a person who has walked through real fire. Not the kind of fire you read about, the kind you actually survive, the kind that burns away everything that wasn't real and not leaves behind only what is solid and true. And the person sitting with this message right now, you have been through that kind of fire. Maybe more than once. Maybe more times than you have ever told anyone. And what came out on the other side of it is not the same person they built their strategy around. They were not dealing with who you used to be. They were dealing with who you became. And those are not even close to the same thing. So when they made their move, when they finally executed the plan they had been rehearsing in their head, something unexpected happened. You didn't respond the way they calculated. You didn't collapse on cue. You didn't give them the reaction that was supposed to confirm everything they believed about you. You were just steady, rooted, almost like the move didn't even fully land, and that confused them deeply. They looked at your quietness and called it weakness. They looked at your patience and decided it was fear. They mistook your stillness for someone who had no options left, and that misread, that specific, arrogant, completely confident misread is exactly what walked them straight into something they had no framework for. Because when they pushed, and I mean really pushed, the kind of push designed to destabilize a person from the inside out, they felt something push back. Not you, exactly, not a reaction from you, something behind you, something around you, something that doesn't have a name in the language they speak. It hit them in the chest before it reached their mind. That's how they knew it was real, because the mind can rationalize almost anything, but the body knows, the gut knows, that deep instinctive place in a person that registers truth before thought can interfere. That place knew immediately that they had just touched something they were never supposed to touch. Not resistance, not bad timing, not you having a strong moment, something ancient, something positioned, something that has been standing behind you longer than this situation has been going on. Something that does not move, does not negotiate, and does not give way when someone comes against the person it is covering. They felt it in their bones, and that feeling, that specific, unmistakable, inexplicable feeling, is the reason everything changed in that moment. Not because you did anything, because of what's standing behind you, because of who you belong to. And they were completely, absolutely unprepared for that. Let me tell you what actually happened in that moment. And I need you to stay with me here because I don't want you to just hear this. I want you to feel it, really feel it, because I think you have been second guessing your own protection for too long, and what I'm about to tell you is going to change that. They made their move. They said the thing or did the thing or quietly set something in motion, and then they sat back waiting. They were so sure, so completely arrogantly sure, waiting for you to spiral, waiting for you to react, waiting for the version of you they had constructed in their head, the version they needed you to be, to show up and confirm everything they believed about you. And instead, nothing. You didn't spiral. You didn't collapse. You didn't chase them or call them or send the message at 2 a.m. demanding answers. You didn't even flinch the way they needed you to flinch. And that right there, that stillness you held, without even trying to hold it, that was the first crack. The first moment their confidence started breaking open from the inside. Because here's something I want you to understand about people like this. When you don't react the way they expect, they don't just get confused, they get afraid. Confused they can work with, confused they can strategize around, but afraid. Afraid is different. Afraid means something in the situation is bigger than what they planned for. So they looked closer. They tried to understand what they were actually dealing with. And that is when it happened. The air around you felt different to them. I'm not speaking poetically right now. I mean something in the atmosphere around you shifted in a way they could not explain and could not ignore. Something pressed back against them. Not from you, not from anything you did or said. Something from behind you. Something they felt in their body before their mind had any language for it. In their gut. In that deep instinctive place where truth arrives before thought catches up. And what they felt stopped them completely. It wasn't a vibe. I want to be careful here because this wasn't just some general energy shift. This was a presence, a real, substantial, ancient presence standing directly behind you. Immovable, unbothered, completely unimpressed by their plan, their confidence, their history of getting what they wanted from people who didn't have what you have standing behind them. They pushed and something pushed back that they had no framework for. And I need you to hear this next part. Really hear it. That presence has a name. It has a weight to it that has existed longer than their grudge, longer than their scheme, longer than anything they could bring against you. It has a history, a long, undeniable, documented history of going before people exactly like you. People who were outnumbered, people who looked like the underdog from every visible angle, people who should not have made it through by any human calculation, and making a way where there was absolutely no way, The person trembling right now? The one frozen? The one rehearsing their next move for the 40th time and still not being able to execute it? They bumped into that presence. They extended their hand to reach for you and they hit something. They couldn't see a wall, not a metaphor, a real spiritual impenetrable wall of protection sealed around your life. And they felt it the way you feel, fire, before you see the flame. It stopped them cold. And somewhere deep down, they know they cannot try that again. Here is what I want you to understand about yourself right now. And I need you to actually let this land because I think you have been giving yourself almost no credit for what you have been doing this whole time. The protection on your life did not appear the moment things got hard. It was not something that showed up when the attack came. It was already there. It has been there, built quietly, layer by layer, through every single season where you chose to keep going when stopping would have been so much easier, so much more understandable, so much more justified. Through every moment you chose faith when panic was right there waiting for you. Through every time you bit your tongue and stayed quiet when you could have exploded and nobody would have blamed you for it. Through every night. And I think you know the ones, every night you cried, really cried, and then got up the next morning and kept moving anyway, like you had no other choice, like something in you simply refused to stay down. You were building something in those moments. You just didn't call it that. You called it surviving. You called it getting through. But something much larger than survival was happening inside you, because you were not just surviving. You were being refined. There is a difference, and I need you to feel that difference right now. Surviving is making it through. Being refined is coming out the other side as something stronger, something steadier, something that cannot be moved the same way it once could. Every time you chose not to retaliate, and not because you were afraid, but because something deep in you knew that was not your move, that was not your level, that was beneath what you were being called into, you were deepening something, adding to something. Every time you released the outcome, instead of gripping it with both hands and trying to control every piece of it, you were placing another layer onto a protection so thick, so completely sealed around you that when someone finally decided to test it, they couldn't get through. They couldn't even get close enough to try properly. And this is the part I really need you to hear. They thought your gentleness was the absence of power. It was the evidence of it. They looked at the way you moved through the world, soft, patient, unhurried, and they read it as weakness. They made a whole plan based on that reading. They were so wrong. Your gentleness is not what happens when power is missing. It is what power looks like when it is completely secure, when it has nothing to prove, when it already knows how this ends. They thought your silence meant you had nothing left. It meant you had already handed this to something that does not lose. There is a difference between silence that comes from defeat and silence that comes from certainty. And you were operating from certainty even when you could not fully explain it to yourself. So here's the truth about every single thing they used to dismiss you. Your softness, your stillness, your absolute refusal to come down to their level and play the game they had set up for you. Those were not your vulnerabilities, those were your armor. The very things they pointed at and called weakness are the exact things that made you completely impossible to reach. They spent all that time preparing to fight someone, and they did not realize, not until it was too late, that the person they thought they were fighting had already stepped out of the ring, already handed the whole thing over, already moved to a different level entirely. So they swung hard with everything they had, and they hit nothing but air, and something ancient swung back. I need to talk to you about something, and I need you to really hear this part. because what I am about to say is not meant to scare you. It is meant to prepare you. And there is a big difference between those two things. This is not over in the way you might be thinking. It's over. I know that might not be what you wanted to hear right now. I know part of you was hoping that the freeze, that moment when they pulled back, when they went quiet, when they stopped making their moves, I know part of you was hoping that meant it was done and that they finally learned, that they finally let go. And maybe some of them did, but some of them didn't. Because here's what I have learned about the kind of opposition that comes against someone like you. It doesn't just accept defeat quietly. It doesn't just walk away and move on and find something else to do. It recalibrates. It gets patient. It looks for a side door, a softer moment, a season when you are distracted or tired or just starting to exhale. It waits for the moment you forget what's standing behind you, and then it tries again. So I am asking you to be wise right now, not afraid, wise. There is a real difference. Fear makes you small, wisdom makes you sharp, and you need to be sharp for this next season because not everyone who goes quiet has given up. Some of them are repositioning. Some of them are still watching, still waiting, still running calculations in their head about when and how and which version of you might finally be catchable. Don't be catchable. Your only job, your one actual assignment in all of this is to stay rooted. Stay connected to the source of what made them freeze in the first place. Because the moment you shift your focus toward them, the moment you start trying to track them, understand them, monitor their next move, chase down answers they are never going to honestly give you, you do the one thing they need you to do. You look away from what's holding you. You pull your attention off the anchor and put it on the storm. And that is the only leverage they have left. Don't give it to them. Don't explain yourself. Don't defend yourself. Don't spend a single breath trying to prove something to someone that the one standing behind you has already settled. It is already settled. You don't have to reopen the case. You don't have to argue for a verdict that has already been written in your favor. Just stay still, stay connected, stay anchored in what you know is real, because here is the truth that I want to land deep in your chest right now and stay there. You are not in this alone. You have never been in this alone. Not for a single moment of any of this. There is something ancient, something faithful, something that has been working on your behalf since long before this situation ever started. And it has not stopped. It is still moving, still clearing, still making a way. And every person who has ever gotten too close with wrong intentions felt it. They felt the wall. They felt the weight. They felt something they could not explain and could not get through. That protection was not something you earned. You didn't speak the right words or pray the right amount or finally become good enough to deserve it. It was placed on your life intentionally, purposefully, before you even knew you were going to need it. You were chosen for this level of covering because you were also chosen for what is coming next. And what is coming next, the thing that is already beginning to open in front of you right now, that is the very thing. And they were trying to stop. They couldn't. They felt two was standing behind you. And they couldn't. I want you to sit with something for just a second, just 1 second before we close this out. The protection on your life, the thing they felt when they reached for you, the wall they hit that they still cannot explain. It was not there by accident. It was not there just because things worked out. It is there because you carry something real, something specific, a purpose so particular to you, a direction so clearly written on your life. that something in the spiritual realm recognized it before you ever fully understood it yourself. And the attacks, all of them, every single one, they were not random. They were never random. You were targeted because of what you carry, because something on the other side of the seen world knew that if you made it to this season, if you arrived at this moment intact, what you carry would change things, would shift things, would matter in ways that go far beyond what you can see from where you are standing right now. That means you are not a coincidence. You did not just happen to survive. You were designed to be here in this exact moment, carrying exactly this. And that design, that specific, intentional, protected design, has been guarded every single step of the way. Even the steps that almost broke you, especially those. Now, I want to say something to you that I think you have needed to hear for a long time. Longer than this situation, longer than this person, longer than any of this. You did nothing wrong. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You were not foolish for trusting. You were not weak for hoping they would choose differently. You were being exactly who you are. And who you are is someone worth protecting, someone worth going to war for, someone the universe itself makes room for without being asked. The pain you carried from what they did to you, you can set it down now, not because it was not real. It was real. It hurt the way real things hurt. But it has already done what it came to do. It shaped something in you that nothing else could have shaped. It built something in you that comfort never could have built. And what it built is standing right now, solid, settled, completely unshaken, while the ones who caused it are the settled ones coming apart at the seams. Let that land. So let me say this as plainly as I know how. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not standing at the edge of your life waiting for it to finally begin. You are in it right now. This moment is not the waiting room. This is the thing, and the trembling you sense from the people who came against you. That is not just the beginning of your story. That is the confirmation of it. That is something greater than all of this saying out loud what it has always known about you, that you are held, that you are covered, that you are walking forward into a season they will never have access to. No matter how long they watch you, no matter how hard they try, they cannot follow you where you are going. So keep going, beautiful soul. Keep trusting what you feel, even when you have no words for it. Keep walking with the quiet confidence of someone who knows, really knows, they are not walking alone. The presence is still with you. The army is still behind you. The protection is still sealed around everything that belongs to you. And I want you to hear this from me, directly, personally. I see what you have been carrying. I see how far you have come. I see who you are becoming, and it is something to behold. I am so proud of you. I love you. Keep walking. He has always had this